Working together to improve communities and address disparities challenges us all to understand each other better. We have to understand and learn to cross the boundaries that define and often keep diverse populations apart and without access. Many who create and carry out programs often do not have the same life experience as those for whom the programs are designed. Misunderstandings abound. These same misunderstandings hold true for evaluators, making cultural competency an ongoing need. How have evaluation agencies, foundations, and non-profit organizations responded to this need? Domingo Moronta is among a new generation of evaluators who are learning about and practicing culturally responsive evaluation. Domingo is part of the Robert Wood Johnson Evaluation Fellowship Program, which is broadening the pool of culturally diverse evaluators from underrepresented and disadvantaged groups.
There is an acknowledgement at the Robert Johnson Foundation that we need people from all perspectives to be involved in evaluation on both sides of the table, both the community that's being involved in the program that's being evaluated and the people on the other side of the table asking the questions about that program. And so we're really committed to this issue of diversity in the work that we do, both in the evaluation and in the program development we do.
Philanthropy needs to see the context of grantees, many of who serve vulnerable populations of color.
And what our responsibility is to make sure that those underrepresented voices are heard.
When evaluators understand the context and become culturally sensitive, a program evaluation will better inform the program design and implementation, as well as foundation policy and strategy.
But to understand the complications of unemployment, to understand the complication of poor housing, to understand the complication of lack of access to health.
If an evaluator has not closely encountered the experience of those who live in substandard housing, are unemployed and lack health care, how can an evaluator make recommendations to program designers?
Still not, as a field, asking the right questions then of a system, of an environment.
As a field, we're only strengthened by really thinking about diversity, equity, as yet another tool in the toolbox to think collaboratively in community environments and in complex system environments of what are the multiple perspectives on this data.
We are becoming more and more diverse as a nation. We recognize at the foundation that that will require a diverse skill set and diverse perspectives engaged at every level of the problem identification, the problem solution, and really promoting programs that promote social change.
In partnership with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Rodney Hobson, Professor of Education at Duquesne University, and Gary Spilka, Executive Director of OMG, Center for Collaborative Learning, created the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Evaluation Fellowship Program for emerging evaluators and for professionals wanting to retool their skills to learn more about evaluation.
It was an opportunity really for the Robert Johnson Foundation to get involved with this partnership and to create this program.
The partnership brings together academic and applied evaluation skills and knowledge.
That initial phone call from Deborah and Laura introduced me to Gary Spilka at OMG in Philadelphia.
In the last 30 years, most of OMG's work has been evaluations in diverse communities. These have aimed to address issues of equity and concerns such as housing, education, and health.
OMG's had a lot of experience with training, evaluation training.
And OMG has collaborated closely with foundations to fund these endeavors.
That's been quite motivating, actually, knowing that there was another partner who had another set of access to other funders, opportunity to leverage funders and resources together with a supportive advisory board.
We hope at the end of the day we'll be able to prove that this is a program and training evaluators from diverse perspectives is a project worth doing, and that other funders will see the value of a program like this. We think that there are many more organizations and foundations that care about the diversity of evaluation or the lack thereof. So we think that there's a market for this.
How do we get agencies themselves and institutions to think about these issues? So beyond training individuals through a program, how do we encourage agencies to buy into this effort, to think about these issues around culturally responsive evaluation, or as Ricardo Millet puts it, evaluation with a diversity lens. How do we get them to think about these issues in philanthropic and agency spaces? And so those things that motivated this effort.
We had to do more, and this was an opportunity to really conduct something formal in terms of expansion of the diversity of evaluators by providing training and capacity building. So it was really a win-win-win.
The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation realized that there were few evaluators of color 15 years ago. There was a supply problem and a need for a pipeline, and also lack of organizational support and methodological appropriateness. A new pool of evaluators of color needed to be mentored into the evaluation field, receive the organizational support, and acquire the methodological tools for conducting culturally responsive evaluation.
Each of the fellows that are placed in placement agency have a mentor, which in most cases I think has been a higher level person in the organization. And then they have a supervisor, and I've been Domingo's supervisor.
My history helps me know essentially what to really ask people. You know, you can't necessarily gauge, you know, you can't predict certain things. And so when you ask someone, so is this program really meeting your needs? It's not, you know, giving them a set of multiple choice options that they can pick on. It's really asking them, what do you feel?
Every 2 weeks we meet and I discuss his workload. So we talk about what projects he's on, what types of activities he's doing, if he is meeting his own personal goals through his work at OMG. And I also advocate for Domingo with other program managers and directors to try to get him the kind of work projects that he feels will be valuable to him.
The fellowship program and individual fellows receive support and mentoring from highly experienced evaluators who laid the foundation for culturally responsive evaluation. Ricardo Millet of Ricardo Millet Associates of Chicago is one of the few senior evaluators of color in the field, and is on the advisory board of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Evaluation Program, and offers advice and support to the program for the emerging and retooling professionals.
We assume that there's something that is wrong with the kind of programs that are designed to help a society in general be more equal and just, that is simply not working. We assume that there are ways that we can gather more authentic and meaningful data in the evaluation process to inform people who design programs and people who make policies and people who make politics to do something that would create a more just and equitable society. So while funding evaluators of color is a surrogate measure for getting at a better use of evaluation, a real root issue that we're trying to deal with is how can we make this evaluation tool more sensitive to getting the right information that would engage and inform programs that would be more effective in dealing with the systemic issues of racism, of disproportional impact on all people.
There's a strong business case for increasing diversity, which is, from my perspective, the ability to ensure that we have people who bring with them the capacity, the sensitivity, and the awareness to issues of diversity in evaluation, because we can't just assume that it comes naturally, because it doesn't. My sense is that your perspective in terms of who you are and what you bring to the table influences the methodologies and how you apply them, and the questions you ask, and how you frame policy recommendations, and how you even treat the subjects that you are engaged with in evaluation and evaluation research.